When I pulled into the driveway that night, the Tahoe air felt like glass, sharp, still, waiting to break. I'd driven 7 hours straight from San Francisco after Robin's text. Thanksgiving's at the house this year, just you and me. Let's make it special. I thought it was a truce. A fresh start after months of distance, missed calls, and vague business trips that always ended with his cologne smelling like someone else's perfume. The house was too quiet. The glass walls reflected nothing but my headlights and my own tired face. Inside, the air smelled faintly of cinnamon and cedar, the kind of scent hotels use to trick you into feeling safe. My heels clicked on the marble floor as I called out, "Robin?" Silence answered back. Then I saw the note on the kitchen island. Thick paper. His handwriting. Elegant, controlled, smug. "Gone on a cruise with my ex. You'll stay home and take care of stepdad. He needs you." I stared at it until the words stopped making sense. My laugh came out brittle. He'd done some messed up things before, but this? This was performance art in cruelty. "Carla." The voice came from the living room. I turned and froze. There he was, Frank, Robin's stepfather, sitting in the old oak rocking chair by the fireplace. His eyes were half closed, but a thin smile played on his lips. The fire flickered against his face, carving deep lines that looked older than his 70 years. "Shall we begin?" he said. My pulse jumped. "Begin what?" He opened one eye, glinting steel gray. "The truth." I wanted to run, but something in his voice stopped me, a quiet authority that felt like it had been waiting for me all along. "You know what your husband's been doing, don't you?" I folded my arms. "I know enough." "No," he said, "you don't." He leaned back, the chair creaking like old bones. "Sit down, Carla. We've got work to do." I should have walked out. I should have packed my bags and left that damn note on fire behind me. But I didn't. Maybe because some part of me still believed I could fix things. Or maybe because, deep down, I knew this wasn't about Thanksgiving anymore. It was about survival. I sat. He studied me quietly, then poured 2 glasses of bourbon. "He ever tell you how his mother died?" I frowned. "She had cancer." "That's what he told everyone." The fire popped, sending sparks dancing across the grate. My stomach twisted. "What are you saying?" He handed me the glass. "I'm saying your husband didn't just marry you for love, sweetheart. He married you for access." I stared into the bourbon, the amber light rippling. "Access to what?" "Your trust fund, your shares, your name." His voice was calm, matter of fact, like he had practiced saying it 100 times. "And now that you started asking questions, he's tying up loose ends." I felt the blood drain from my face. "You think that's why he left? To run off with her?" "That's part of it." He leaned forward. "But Robin's a pattern, and patterns don't break. They escalate." I took a shaky sip. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I've seen it before." His gaze flicked to the fire, lost for a moment. "I was married to his mother when it started. The lying, the disappearances, the sudden money, and then she was gone." A long silence. "You think he killed her?" He didn't answer, just looked at me in that way older men do when they've already seen too much truth. "Let's just say she didn't die clean." My heart hammered against my ribs. "And you, what, waited all these years to tell me?" "No," he said quietly. "I waited for you to believe me." Something inside me cracked open right then. Not full-blown belief, not yet, but enough to let fear crawl through the cracks. "What do you want me to do?" I asked. "Start by not calling him. Not yet." He slid a small folder across the table. "Everything in here.
Bank transfers, offshore accounts, shell companies. Robin's name shows up where it shouldn't. You'll recognize some of the partners, too. I opened it. The numbers blurred together, but one word stood out like a gunshot. Carver and Doyle Holdings. My father's firm. No, I whispered. That's impossible. You sure? He tilted his head. Check the dates. The deposit started the month after your wedding. I flipped through the pages. My signature was on one of them. Digitally forged, but close enough to fool anyone. Jesus, I breathed. He's been laundering through my family? Bingo! Frank's smile didn't reach his eyes. And you, darling, are the perfect scapegoat. The room tilted. Why are you helping me? Because I didn't help his mother, he said simply. The honesty hit me like a punch. For the first time, I saw him not as the creepy old man in the rocking chair, but as someone hunted, someone who'd lived with guilt long enough to recognize its twin. The firelight flickered between us, and I saw it then, the line between predator and protector, thinner than I'd ever believed. He handed me a small USB drive. This is the rest. Keep it hidden. What's on it? Proof. Enough to burn him down. The weight of it in my palm felt heavier than gold. He'll come for me, I said. He already is. He leaned back again, rocking slow. But you're not as alone as you think. Outside, wind hissed against the windows, carrying the faint sound of rain. I stood, clutching the drive like a weapon. What happens now? Now? Frank smiled faintly. Now we wait. For what? For him to realize he's not the only one who knows how to play dirty. I didn't sleep that night. I sat by the window, watching the storm roll in, replaying every moment of my marriage in my head. The charming dinners, the lies disguised as laughter, the secrets that always felt one room away. By dawn, I knew two things for certain. Robin wasn't the man I married, and Frank wasn't the man I feared. The next morning, I called Robin anyway. His voicemail answered. Smooth, polished, soulless. Hey, it's Robin. Leave a message. I stared at the phone, then said, You picked the wrong woman to underestimate. When I turned, Frank was standing in the doorway, a strange smile on his face. That's the spirit. Now let's ruin him properly. Because by the time Robin comes home from that cruise, he won't have a wife waiting. He'll have a reckoning.
The morning Robin came home, the sky looked fake. Too blue, too polished, like a screensaver pretending to be peace. I'd barely slept, half expecting headlights in the driveway all night. But when the engine finally roared outside, my stomach dropped anyway. Frank was already in the kitchen, coffee mug in hand, looking like he'd been waiting for this exact moment. You ready? He asked. I wasn't. Not even close. But I nodded. The front door opened, and there he was, my husband. Suitcase in one hand, sunglasses still on indoors, like some arrogant movie producer who thought the world rotated around him. Carla? His voice was casual, light, but his eyes flicked over every inch of the room like a man checking for traps. Well, this is unexpected. You weren't supposed to be here for another week, I said, forcing calm. Cruise get boring? He smirked. Something like that. His gaze shifted to Frank. Stepdad, you're up and moving. That's nice. Always am, Frank said, voice flat. You look well, Robin. Salt air do you good? Robin's jaw tightened just slightly, but his smile didn't crack. Guess it did. He turned back to me. You look tired, babe. Everything okay here? I wanted to scream, to throw the note in his face. But Frank had warned me, play along. Don't let him smell blood too soon. So I smiled, brittle and sharp. Fine, just missed you. Missed you too, he said, stepping forward. His kiss was quick, rehearsed, like a photo op. I could taste the lie on his lips, sunscreen and someone else's perfume. He dropped his suitcase by the door. Let me shower. I feel gross. Frank waited until the bathroom door closed, then muttered, He's lying. Do you think I don't know that? No, but I think you need to remember it. Robin's phone was still on the counter, charging. I glanced at it. An iPhone 15, newest model, Face ID locked. "Can you crack it?" I whispered. Frank grinned. "Sweetheart, I was in finance before your generation learned what passwords were." 5 minutes later, the screen flashed open. My chest tightened as I saw her name. Tara, the ex-wife. He hadn't even changed her contact photo. Her text from last night read, "Miss your touch. Counting the hours till we're back." I scrolled further. Pictures, messages, voice notes. I felt something snap inside me. Not sadness, not even rage. Just a cold, surgical clarity. He's not just cheating. He's planning something. "Look at the attachments," Frank murmured. I did. Bank statements, transfer slips, fake documents with my digital signature again, and one short message from Robin to someone named Miller. "Once her assets transfer, I'll make it clean. No trail." "Clean," I whispered. "He's planning to erase me." "And that's why we don't play fair anymore," Frank said. "We make him think he's still winning." Robin came back into the room shirtless, towels slung low around his hips, like he'd walked out of an ad for toxic confidence. "What are you two whispering about?" "Nothing," I said quickly. "Just the holiday dinner plans." "Right." He flashed that smile again, the one that used to melt me and now just made my skin crawl. "I invited a few friends for Friday, old colleagues. Thought it'd be good to celebrate." "You invited people here?" "Yeah. Problem?" Frank coughed. "House could use some life." "Exactly," Robin said, heading upstairs. "See, the old man gets it." When he was gone, I turned to Frank. "We can't let that dinner happen." "Oh, we'll let it happen. That's where we start the fire." The next 2 days passed like walking on glass. Robin played the doting husband for show. Flowers, expensive wine, that fake smile he wore like armor. But at night, I could feel his eyes on me when he thought I wasn't looking. I kept the USB drive hidden behind the false back of my jewelry box. Every time I touched it, it felt like a heartbeat. Frank and I stayed in quiet sync. We spoke in half sentences, exchanged looks, built something invisible but strong between us, an alliance born from betrayal. On the morning of Thanksgiving, I woke to the smell of turkey, rosemary, and deceit. The house looked perfect. Candlelight, gold-rimmed plates, soft jazz humming through hidden speakers, the illusion of wealth and warmth. Everything Robin worshipped. His guests started arriving, 3 men in tailored suits, 1 woman dripping diamonds and fake smiles. Robin held court like a king. "This house," he said loudly, arm around my waist, "is a symbol of love and legacy." I wanted to laugh. Instead, I smiled and poured wine. Frank sat at the far end of the table, silent, observant. When dessert came, Robin raised his glass. "To new beginnings." "To truth," Frank added quietly. The room went still for a beat. Robin chuckled. "Truth, huh? That's cute." "Truth's all we've got left, son," Frank said, tone cool. "Some of us just hide it better than others." Their eyes locked. For a moment, it felt like the whole room tilted around them. Then Robin smiled that shark smile again. "You've had too much bourbon, old man." "Maybe. Or maybe I've just been sober too long." After dinner, guests drifted out into the night, full of pie and secrets. I started clearing the plates when Robin grabbed my wrist. His grip was gentle, but his eyes weren't. "You and Frank getting close, huh?" he asked. "He's family." "That what we're calling it now." I yanked my hand free. "Don't start." He smiled. Too late. Later, when the house went quiet, I found Frank in the study burning something in the fireplace. "What's that?" I asked. "Copies of the files. You keep the originals. No one can trace them back to me." "You think he suspects?" "He knows something's off, but not what." "Then what's next?" "We make him show his hand." Frank handed me a small black envelope. "You drop this in his office tomorrow." I peeked inside, a single photo of Robin and Tara kissing on a yacht, time-stamped last week. Where did you... Doesn't matter. It'll spook him. He'll start cleaning his digital tracks, and when he does, we'll have his access codes. I stared at the picture. This is dangerous. So staying married to him. He was right. That night, I couldn't sleep again. I lay awake listening to the house breathe, every creak, every hum of the air vents. Around 3 a.m., I heard movement downstairs. I crept to the balcony and looked down. Robin was in the study, pacing. Then he picked up his phone. Yeah, he whispered. Change of plans. She's catching on. My blood ran cold. Do it before she can talk to anyone. Make it look like... He stopped. His head turned slightly toward the stairs. I ducked back, my heart hammered in my ears. I stayed still until his footsteps faded. When I finally went back to my room, Frank was waiting by the door. You heard him too. I nodded. He's moving fast. Then we move faster. How? We turn his plan inside out. His eyes gleamed in the dim light. He thinks he's hunting you. But starting tomorrow, Carla, you're going to hunt him. The way he said it sent a shiver through me. Not fear, power. The kind I hadn't felt in years. I thought about the woman I'd been, the one who believed love could fix broken men. That woman was gone now, buried under silk sheets and lies. The new me wasn't afraid of Robin anymore. The new me had a plan. Because by the time he realizes who's setting the trap, he'll already be standing in it. By sunrise, I wasn't the same woman. Something inside me had flipped, clean and final, like a light switch that only works one way. I made coffee, black and bitter, staring out the kitchen window at the fog rolling over the lake. It was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that feels like it's watching you. Frank came down the stairs, already dressed in that crisp gray sweater he favored, the one that made him look like he belonged in old money magazines. You didn't sleep? He said. Couldn't. He poured himself coffee and added 2 sugars. Good. Sleep's for people who can afford comfort. And we can't? I asked. He looked at me, eye steady. Not yet. I dropped the black envelope in Robin's office before he woke up. My hand shook the whole time, but I did it. When he found it, he'd panic. Frank said that was step 1. You never fight a narcissist head on. You let them trip over their own reflection. Around 10, Robin finally appeared, all charm and cologne, acting like the house belonged to his performance. He breezed into the kitchen. Morning, gorgeous, he said, kissing my cheek like nothing had ever happened. Sleep okay? Like a baby, I lied. He poured himself coffee, scrolled through his phone, then frowned. Weird, he muttered. What? Nothing. Just a work thing. He slipped into his office, and 5 seconds later I heard the sound of a drawer yanked open. Then science. I counted under my breath. 3, 2, 1. Then the sharp clatter of glass. The photo had landed. I leaned against the counter, pretending to text, but my pulse was drumming. He came back out 5 minutes later, jaw clenched, fake smile gone. You been in my office? He asked. Why? Just asking. His tone was light, but his eyes were knives. You seem tense. Something wrong? No. He grabbed his keys. Going for a drive. And then he was gone. Frank stepped out from the hallway shadows. And there it is. What? Stage 1 panic. He nodded toward the window where Robin's car disappeared down the driveway. He's going to his fixer. How do you know? Because that's what I would do. We followed him. Frank's car was quiet, unremarkable, a navy sedan that blended with traffic. He drove like he'd done this before, like old instincts had just been waiting for an excuse. We tailed Robin through winding roads until he pulled into a sleek office building downtown. That's Miller's place, Frank murmured. The guy from the message? Yeah, finance fixer. Makes people disappear. On paper and off. I watched Robin stride inside, every inch of confident husband who thought he could clean up any mess. My hands gripped my knees. He's dangerous, isn't he? He's desperate, Frank corrected. Desperate men are only dangerous until they run out of plans. An hour later, Robin came out, phone to his ear, talking fast. Frank started recording. He's deleting the trail, Frank showed me, the audio levels bouncing on his screen. Exactly what we needed. So now we have proof? Not yet, but we're close. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about Robin's face when he saw that photo. The flash of fear, then fury. He wasn't scared of losing me. He was scared of losing control. And that, finally, gave me power. When I walked into the living room, Frank was sitting by the fire again, that same damn rocking chair creaking softly. He looked at me like he'd been expecting me. You did good today. Did I? Yeah. He poured me bourbon. But don't let victory fool you. He's still 3 moves ahead until we cut off his queen. Tara, I said. Exactly. She's his weak point. We spent hours going through Robin's emails and messages, tracing every lead that pointed back to Tara. The woman wasn't just an ex. She was his partner in crime. Offshore accounts, fake real estate ventures, shell companies, all tied to her name. Frank looked up from his notes. She's the accountant behind the laundering. So she's the one moving the money. Yup. If we can get her to talk, we bury them both. I laughed softly. You make it sound simple. Simple's not the same as easy, he said. And you, sweetheart, are about to find out what it costs to win. The next morning, Robin was already gone, his car missing, his phone off. A note on the counter, out for meetings, don't wait up. I showed it to Frank. He read it once, then tore it in half. He's meeting Tara, he said. We're following. The drive took us out of the city and into the cliffs. The sky was bruised gray, waves crashing below like applause from hell. We parked a few cars away, low enough that he wouldn't see us. Robin stood by the railing with a woman in a red coat, Tara. Even from here, I could see the practiced elegance in her posture, the kind that comes from money and manipulation. They talked, argued, gestured. Then she handed him something, a flash drive. My stomach twisted. Frank recorded everything from the dashboard camera. That's it, he said quietly. The key to everything. But then something changed. Robin grabbed Tara's wrist too hard, shaking her. She slapped him. He shoved her back. For a moment, it looked like he might push her over the edge. I gasped, he's going to— Wait, Frank said, hand on my arm. Robin stopped. He took a deep breath, pocketed the drive, and walked away, leaving her trembling on the rocks. She turned toward the water, wiping her face. Jesus, I whispered. He's out of control. Frank exhaled. Not out of control. Cornered. When we got home, Robin's car was already in the driveway. He was sitting in the darkened living room, drink in hand, watching the fire. Where were you? He asked. Shopping, I lied. With Frank? Yeah. His eyes flicked toward the hallway. You two getting cozy? It wasn't a question. You're drunk, I said. And you're lying, he shot back. He stood, glass shattering on the floor. Don't play dumb, Carla. I know what you're doing. Frank appeared in the doorway. You sure about that? Robin turned. The 2 men faced each other, and the air in the room thickened. You should have stayed dead, old man. You should have stayed human, Frank replied. Robin lunged. The scuffle was fast, violent. I grabbed the poker from the fireplace, my pulse screaming. Frank ducked, Robin swung, and for a second, everything froze. Heat, motion, fear suspended midair. Then Robin stumbled back, clutching his arm, bleeding from a deep scrape. You both want to play? He snarled. Fine. Game on. He stormed out, slamming the door. Frank caught his breath, leaning against the mantel. You okay? I asked. He nodded. You? No. I looked at the blood on the floor. What if you really try something? Then we finish it first. That night, the wind howled through the trees, and I finally realized something. I wasn't scared of Robin dying anymore. I was scared of what he might turn me into before he did. The next morning, Robin's car was gone again. Frank checked the home security system. It was offline. He cut the feed, Frank muttered. He's covering his tracks. We spent the day backing up files, hiding evidence, preparing for whatever came next. At sunset, a text lit up my phone from an unknown number. You think you can outsmart me? Watch your step. No name, no signature, but I didn't need one. I stared at the screen. Heart steady now. He's not warning me, he's daring me. Frank smiled faintly. Then let's give him a show. We decided to bait him. The next evening, I'd leave my laptop unlocked with fake financial statements showing a transfer he couldn't resist. If he took the bait, the tracking software Frank installed would capture everything. By midnight, I was alone in the study, pretending to sleep at the desk. The house was silent, except for the steady tick of the grandfather clock. Then I heard it. The soft creak of the door. Robin. He moved quietly, confident, slipping behind me. The faint smell of his cologne hit me before I saw him. My pulse stayed slow. He reached for the laptop. I waited until the screen flickered to life, his reflection glowing. Then I whispered, "Got you." He froze. Our eyes met in the screen's reflection. "What did you just say?" "You heard me." Frank stepped out of the shadows behind him. "Smile, son. You're on record." His face went white. "You think this will stop me?" "No," I said softly, "but it will expose you." He backed toward the door, fury and fear mixed in his eyes. "You don't know who you're dealing with." "Oh, I do," I said. "You're the man who taught me never to trust a smile." He left without another word. The front door slammed hard enough to rattle the glass. Frank turned to me. "He's dangerous now." "Good," I said. "So am I." Because the next time he walks through that door, it won't be a marriage waiting. It'll be his own downfall in designer shoes.
The morning after Robin stormed out, the air in the house felt strange, thick, humming, like static before a storm. I made coffee just to have something to do with my hands, but my fingers shook too much to hold the mug steady. Frank was already awake, sitting in that damn rocking chair again, motionless except for his eyes tracking every sound in the room. "You think he's gone for good?" I asked. "No," he said quietly. "He's regrouping." "Regrouping for what?" "For the end game." I hated how calm he sounded, like this was all some chess match instead of my life unraveling in real time. "Frank," I said, "what aren't you telling me?" He looked away, and for the first time since this started, he didn't answer right away. "You ever wonder why Robin hates me so much?" he finally asked. "Because you remind him he's not the smartest man in the room?" I said bitterly. Frank smiled faintly. "Partly, but also because I'm the only one who knows what really happened to his mother." I froze. "His mother died in a car accident." "That's the story Robin tells," Frank said. "But she didn't die that night. She ran." I stared at him. "Ran where?" "Here," he said simply. "To me." I felt the air leave my lungs. "What are you talking about?" "She came to me broken, scared, begging for help. Robin's father, my old business partner, was a cruel man. He destroyed her, emotionally and financially. She wanted out. I hid her for months until she could start over." "So, you and her?" "Yes." He didn't flinch. "We fell in love. But Robin found out. He was 16, angry, already learning how to manipulate. He told his father everything. She went back to keep me safe. 2 weeks later, she was dead. Her car was found at the bottom of a ravine." "You think Robin?" "I don't think, Carla. I know." I sat down hard, my knees weak. "Why didn't you ever tell me?" "Because you wouldn't have believed it until you saw who he really was." "And now?" "Now you've seen." I stared at the window, the reflection of my face pale and haunted. Robin's cruelty suddenly made sense. Not just learned, but inherited, practiced. His lies were generational. His darkness wasn't a wound. It was a weapon.
By noon, the first message arrived. A photo slipped under the front door. Me and Frank at the cafe 2 days ago. My hand resting on his. On the back, in Robin's handwriting, "How touching." "He's watching us," I whispered. Frank's jaw tightened. "He's escalating." "What do we do?" "We let him think it's working." He leaned closer. "And then we break him from the inside." That night, I couldn't rest. Every shadow in the house looked like Robin's silhouette. Around 2 a.m., I heard a faint knock. 3 soft taps. My blood froze. Frank was already up, gun in hand, a small black pistol I'd never seen before. "Since when do you—" "Since before you met him," he said. He moved to the door silently, motioning me to stay back. When he yanked it open, the porch was empty, except for a single envelope taped to the doorframe. Inside was a USB drive and a note. "Want to play? Plug it in." Against every instinct, I did. The screen flickered to life with a video, security footage from our own house. Robin standing in our bedroom while I slept. He brushed my hair back from my face, whispered something I couldn't hear, and smiled at the camera before walking out. My skin crawled. "He was here," I said, shaking. "He's inside this house whenever he wants." "Not anymore,"
Frank said, locking the doors, bolting windows, but I could see it in his eyes. He knew locks didn't stop ghosts like Robin. The next morning, I found Robin's car parked down the hill, engine cold, empty. I called the police. They ran the plates, shrugged. "No crime here," the officer said. "Maybe it's abandoned." I wanted to scream. Instead, I went back inside and poured another drink. Frank watched me from across the counter. "He's pushing you toward fear," he said. "Don't let him win." "I'm not scared," I lied. "I'm furious." "Good," Frank said. "Use it." By evening, I decided to hit back. I logged into Robin's business accounts, fake shell companies, investment fronts. Frank had shown me how to navigate them. I sent one anonymous email to his board members with a few leaked screenshots attached. Nothing illegal yet, just enough to make them question his integrity. The kind of small fracture that turns into a landslide later. Within an hour, Robin called me. His voice was sharp, breathless. "What did you do?" "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't play games, Carla." "Funny, I thought you loved games." "You're making a mistake." "No, Robin," I said quietly. "You did." He hung up. My hands shook, adrenaline pounding like a drum. Frank grinned across the table. "Welcome to the hunt." The following day, Frank disappeared for 3 hours. When he came back, there was dirt on his shoes and a file in his hand. "What's that?" I asked. "Insurance," he said. He spread photos across the table, bank receipts, offshore transfers, emails between Robin and Tara about laundering funds through charitable foundations. "You kept these?" I asked. "I made copies years ago. I knew one day the truth would need to breathe." We planned to send everything to the DA anonymously, but before we could, the phone rang again. It was Robin. "You think you've won?" he said. His voice was eerily calm. "You're both in over your heads. That old man you trust, he's not who he says he is." "Try again, Robin," I said. "That trick's expired." "No," he said. "Ask him what happened to your sister." My chest tightened. "What?" "Yeah, Carla. Ask Frank why your sister never made it home from college that summer." The line went dead. My blood went ice cold. "He's bluffing," Frank said quickly. "No," I snapped. "You tell me right now. What does he mean?" He hesitated. That hesitation was all I needed. "You knew my sister." "It was years ago," he said softly. "She interned for my company. She found out something she shouldn't have about Robin's father's accounts. I tried to protect her." "Protect her how?" "By sending her away." "Away where?" "I don't know." "Don't lie to me, Frank," I shouted. He grabbed my shoulders, voice breaking. I didn't hurt her, Carla, but I didn't save her either. Tears burned my eyes. And you kept that from me while you played savior? I was trying to make things right by helping you take Robin down. Or by rewriting your guilt, I whispered.
We stood there, two people bound by secrets and sins, the firelight flickering between us like judgment. I wanted to hate him, but part of me still needed him, because without Frank, I was just a woman with broken trust and a ticking clock. That night, I packed a small bag, flash drives, cash, one gun Frank didn't know I'd found in the safe. "You're leaving?" he asked. "No," I said. "I'm ending this." At midnight, I drove to the cliffs where Robin had met Tara. The air was sharp, full of salt and memory. His car was already there. He leaned against it, smirking. "Took you long enough." "I'm not scared of you anymore," I said. "You should be," he said, stepping closer. "Because everything you think you know, you got from the man who destroyed your family." "You're lying." "Am I?" He tossed a folder at my feet. Inside were photos. My sister, smiling beside Frank. Dates, letters, transfers. My head spun. "You set me up," I said. "No," Robin said, voice dropping low. "He set you up. I just let you see it." For a split second, I believed him. That's how good he was. That's how he always won. Truth twisted just enough to feel real. Then headlights swept across the cliff road, Frank's car. He stepped out, gun drawn. "Back away from her." Robin laughed. "This is rich. The hero act again." "She deserves the truth," Frank said. "Then give it to her," Robin spat. "Tell her how you used her sister as bait to catch my father. Tell her how that plan got her killed." I turned to Frank. "Is it true?" His silence was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. "Jesus," I whispered, "you're both monsters." "No," Frank said, stepping closer, eyes wet. "I made a mistake that night, but I've been trying to fix it ever since." "By using me?" I said. "By saving you," he whispered. Robin laughed, low and cruel. "You really are your mother's replacement, Carla. Frank's always had a type. Broken women who think he's their savior." The words hit me like shrapnel. I stepped back, dizzy. Frank raised his gun. "Enough." Robin smiled. "You won't shoot me. You need me alive to feel righteous." "Want to bet?" Frank fired. The bullet missed by inches, shattering a rock behind Robin's head. Robin didn't flinch. "You just proved my point," he said, smirking. Then he lunged at Frank. They struggled near the edge, wild and desperate. I screamed, running toward them. Frank's gun went off again, once, twice. Robin fell back, clutching his chest, his face twisted in shock, then fury, then nothing at all. He stumbled, teetered, and then disappeared over the edge into the dark. The sound of his body hitting the rocks below echoed like thunder. Frank dropped to his knees, shaking. "It's over," he whispered. But I couldn't move. I just stared at the empty space where Robin had been. "No," I said softly. "It's never over." We stood there in the cold wind, blood and ocean mixing below us, knowing we'd crossed every line there was. And still, part of me didn't know which of them was worse, or which of us had really won. Because when I looked down at the cliff, I could swear I saw movement, like the sea hadn't taken him after all. The morning after the cliff, I woke up gasping, drenched in sweat, my throat raw from screaming in dreams that felt too close to real. Frank said it was shock. I said it was guilt. He didn't argue. He just stood there in the doorway, staring out at the fog, rolling in from the ocean like it was carrying ghosts. Maybe it was. The police showed up around noon, routine report of gunshots near the cliffs. We told them it was fireworks. They didn't buy it. Not entirely, but there was no body. The tide had swallowed whatever proof existed. They left after a warning, but the way one of them looked at Frank, too long, too knowing, made my skin crawl.
That night, I tried to scrub the blood stain off my hands, even though I knew it wasn't there anymore. Phantom guilt. Or maybe the kind that doesn't wash off. Frank poured me bourbon, said we needed to stay calm. If they find the body, I started. They won't, he cut in. And if they do, it'll look like self-defense. Against what? I asked. A monster, he said simply. But I wasn't sure he was talking about Robin anymore.
Days passed. Thanksgiving came and went. The house was too quiet. The silverware still out from that last dinner with Robin. The smell of turkey long gone, replaced by something metallic and stale. I wandered from room to room like a ghost in my own life. Every creak in the floor sounded like a footstep. Every gust of wind like someone whispering my name. Then, 3 nights later, the phone rang again. I picked up without thinking. Static. Then breathing. Slow, wet, familiar. Miss me? The voice was shredded, distorted, but it was his. Robin! My knees buckled. You're dead, I whispered. He chuckled softly. That's one of your favorite delusions, isn't it? That people stay gone when you want them to? Where are you? I shouted. Close, he said. Closer than you think. Click. I ran to Frank's room. Empty. His bed untouched. His phone gone. His rocking chair, the one that had become his throne, was tipped over, rocking slowly on its own. My breath caught in a throat. Frank? I called out. Silence answered. I searched the whole house. Nothing. His car was still in the driveway, but the back door was cracked open, wind moaning through it. On the counter sat a folded note in his handwriting. Don't call the cops. Trust me. Wait. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my jaw. I waited. An hour. 2. 3. Just me and that damn chair creaking like it was mocking me. By dawn, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my coat and the gun, got in my car, and drove toward the cliffs. The fog was thick as milk, swirling around the headlights like ghosts fighting to get in. When I reached the spot where Robin had fallen, the police tape was gone, but there were footprints in the mud. Fresh. 2 sets. One leading toward the edge, one leading away. I followed them until the ground started to tremble beneath my boots. The sound of the ocean roared below, angry, endless. Then I saw it. A piece of fabric caught on a ragged rock. Robin's jacket. Torn, soaked, but unmistakable. I reached for it, and something moved beneath it. A hand. Pale, shaking, alive. I stumbled back, heart slamming. Robin? The figure stirred, coughed, groaned, and then he opened his eyes. Bloodshot, swollen, furious, but alive. You, he rasped. You tried to kill me. I aimed the gun, my hands trembling. Stay down. Shoot me, he spat, blood on his teeth. You already did. You fell, I said, but my voice broke. You fell, Robin. He laughed, a broken, wheezing sound. You sound just like her. Who? My mother. She said the same thing when Frank pushed her. I froze. You're lying. Am I? He hissed, dragging himself to his feet. You think you know him. You don't know the half of it. He didn't just ruin your sister. He ruined mine. And you're next. Before I could answer, headlights flashed behind me. Frank's car. He stepped out, gun drawn again. Move away from her, he barked. Robin smirked. You're gonna kill me twice? I should have finished it the first time, Frank said. Stop! I screamed. Both of you, stop! But they didn't. Robin lunged, tackling Frank into the dirt. The gun went off again, echoing down the cliffs like thunder splitting the world open. I couldn't tell who got hit until Frank fell back, blood spilling from his shoulder. Robin grabbed the gun, pointed pointed it at me. "You really thought you were the victim in all this," he said, his voice wild. "You're just another pawn. He used you to bait me, Carla. The same way he used your sister. You're his favorite weapon. Beautiful, broken, disposable." "Shut up!" I screamed. "He saved me." "No," Robin said, laughing through the pain. "He saved himself." He tossed the gun toward the cliff and collapsed to his knees, panting. I ran to Frank. "Stay with me," I begged. "Don't you dare die on me." He coughed, blood on his lips. "He's lying." "Then tell me the truth," I said, "right now." His hand gripped mine, cold and shaking. "Your sister, she didn't die because of me. She died because she found out I was trying to expose Robin's father. I thought hiding the evidence would protect her. I was wrong." Tears blurred my vision. "You could have told me that months ago." "Would you have believed me?" he whispered. "No," I said honestly. "But I might have forgiven you." Sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called it in this time. Robin was gone again, disappeared into the fog like smoke. I held pressure to Frank's wound until the paramedics came. They took him away on a stretcher, unconscious. I followed in the police car, numb, hands still sticky with his blood. At the hospital, they questioned me for hours. Who fired the gun? Was there another shooter? Where's Robin? I told them everything except the parts that made me sound crazy, which honestly was most of it. By the time I got home, it was midnight again. The house felt smaller, like it was folding in on itself. I poured another drink, then stopped. Something was off. The bourbon bottle was already open. The glass on the counter, half full, lipstick smudged, but I hadn't poured it. My heart stopped. Someone else had been here. Then I heard the voice. "You really should lock your doors better, sweetheart." Robin stepped out of the shadows, bandaged but alive, eyes black with rage. "Miss me?" I froze. "What do you want?" "Justice," he said. "My way." "You don't get to talk about justice. You stalked me. You tortured me. Because you wouldn't listen," he hissed. "Frank's been playing all of us. My mother, your sister, you. He's the reason she's dead, Carla. He used her. And now he's using you." "I don't believe you," I said, but my voice cracked. "Don't you?" He held out a USB drive. "Go ahead. See for yourself." He tossed it on the table. "It's all there. Emails, letters, bank transfers. He didn't just cover up your sister's death. He orchestrated it." I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to touch it. But something in his eyes, so raw, so broken, made me wonder if maybe, just maybe, the villain I'd been sleeping next to wasn't the one I thought. Robin turned toward the door. "You want to know the truth?" he said. "Meet me tomorrow at the old chapel, alone. No cops, no saviors." And then he was gone again, like smoke. That night, I sat in the dark staring at that USB drive. The bourbon burned down my throat like liquid courage, or poison, I wasn't sure which. I thought about my sister, about Frank's confession, about Robin's twisted version of love and vengeance. I thought about how every man in my life had spoken about protecting me, but none of them ever really did. They just used me to fight their wars. When dawn broke, I was still sitting there. The chair creaked softly behind me, even though no one was in it. I turned, and for a moment, I swear, I saw my sister's reflection in the window, her eyes sad but certain. And in that silence, I made my choice. Tomorrow, at that chapel, one of them dies, and for the first time, I don't care which. The morning I drove to the chapel, the sky looked bruised, purple clouds smudging the horizon like something divine had been wounded. The roads were slick from last night's rain, and the wipers squeaked like whispers I couldn't quite understand. Every mile closer felt like shedding another layer of denial, another lie I'd been told to make the world feel survivable. By the time I reached the clearing, the old stone chapel looked like a corpse of faith. Windows shattered, ivy crawling through the cracks, the door half open as if it, too, had been waiting. Robin's car was already there, idling, breath fogging the air. I parked behind him, checked the gun in my coat pocket, and stepped out. The gravel crunched under my boots like brittle bones. Inside, the chapel smelled of damp wood, dust, and decay. Candles lined the altar,
freshly lit. He was standing near the front, back to me, wearing the same torn jacket from the cliffs. "You came," he said, not turning around. "You said you wanted the truth," I replied. "So show me." He turned then, and for a moment I almost didn't recognize him. His face was thinner, pale, eyes dark and hollow. He looked more ghost than man. "You really don't know who Frank is, do you?" He said. "He told me everything," I said. "No," Robin said softly. "He told you what would keep you on his side." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded photo. My sister, smiling, standing next to Frank in front of the same chapel. This was taken 2 days before she died. My stomach twisted. "Why are you doing this?" "Because you deserve to know that the man you trust is the same man who ruined us both. My mother didn't run from my father. She ran from Frank. He was obsessed with her, just like he's obsessed with you." I shook my head, but the world started tilting anyway. "You're lying." "Am I?" He stepped closer. "He told you he tried to save her. He didn't. He made her disappear the same way he made your sister disappear. He can't stand losing control of the women he claims to protect." I backed up until my shoulders hit the wall. "Stop!" "He'll come," Robin said, his voice trembling. "He always does when his puppets start cutting the strings." And right then, I heard it, the crunch of tires on gravel outside. I froze. Robin smiled, weary but knowing. "Told you." The door burst open. Frank stood there, coat soaked from rain, eyes wild. "Carla, step away from him." "You're late. Still cleaning up your old messes?" "Don't listen to him," Frank said, gun raised. "He's manipulating you. He's always been a liar." "And you've always been a murderer," Robin spat. "You killed her." "I tried to save her." "You're lying," they shouted over each other, their voices echoing through the empty chapel until it sounded like a confession in stereo. I screamed, "Stop it!" But they didn't. Frank's hand shook. "Carla, give me the drive he gave you." "Why?" I asked. "Because it's poison," he said. "It's doctored. All of it. He's trying to turn you against me. Or maybe he's trying to show me what's real." His eyes softened. Pity, regret, something almost fatherly. "You remind me of her. Your sister." "Don't," I snapped. "You don't get to say her name." "She was brave. Too brave. She thought she could outsmart men like us." "Like us?" I repeated, voice breaking. Robin laughed, a low, broken sound. "There it is. The slip." "Shut up," Frank shouted, and fired. The shot cracked through the chapel, shattering a window. Robin dropped to his knees, blood spreading through his shirt. "You always finish what you start," he wheezed, smiling through the pain. Frank rushed forward, gun still smoking, but I moved faster. I picked up the USB drive from the floor and aimed my gun at him. "Back off." "Carla," he said, voice shaking. "You don't understand." "No," I said. "I finally do. You've been pulling every string since the beginning." He stepped closer. "Put it down, sweetheart." "Don't call me that." "Please. I did it for you, for all of you, to protect what's left. You destroyed what was left." He raised his gun again, but not at me, at Robin, who was crawling toward the altar. I fired first. The sound tore through the chapel, louder than thunder, sharper than forgiveness. Frank staggered back, eyes wide, confusion flickering like a dying candle. "Carla," he whispered, "you shouldn't have done that." "You shouldn't have made me," I said. He fell against a pew, blood blooming through his coat like a spreading stain of memory. For a moment, all I could hear was my heartbeat and Robin's labored breathing. I dropped the gun, rushed to him. "Robin," I said, pressing my hands against his wound. "Don't talk." He coughed, blood on his lips. "He would have killed you." "I know. You shot him." "I know." His eyes softened. Maybe forgiveness, maybe surrender. "It's over," I said. "It's done." "No," he whispered. "Not Yet. He reached into his pocket and handed me something small and cold. A locket. My sister's locket. Where did you— He kept it, he said. Trophy. My breath caught. How long have you known? Long enough to hate him, he said, and then his hand went still. His chest stopped moving. I sat there for what felt like forever, holding that locket like it was the last piece of a world I'd never get back. When the sirens came, I didn't run. I didn't lie. I told them everything. The cliff, the fight, the gunshots, the truth. Or my version of it, at least. They took Frank's body. They took Robin's. They took my statement. But they couldn't take the silence that settled after, heavy and final. Weeks passed. The snow came early that year, coating the house in white like an attempt to erase the blood underneath. I sold the property, packed what little I had left, and drove north. Sometimes I still hear that rocking chair creak in my head. Sometimes I wake up and see the ocean in my dreams, the cliffs waiting. On the last morning before I left, I opened the locket. Inside was a photo, my sister, smiling, holding hands with someone just out of frame. I turned it toward the light. The man beside her wasn't Frank. It was Robin. I dropped it like it burned. My pulse went cold. The truth unraveled all over again. Robin hadn't just been my husband. He'd been part of this from the start. Maybe my sister hadn't stumbled onto Frank's secrets. Maybe she had fallen for Robin first. Maybe he'd been avenging something that wasn't love, but guilt. And maybe Frank hadn't been lying about everything. Maybe none of them had. Or maybe they both had. I'll never know. Some truths rot before you can hold them. But as I drove away from that house for the last time, I realized something. I wasn't haunted by them anymore. I was haunted by the part of me that still loved them both. The part that still wanted to believe that monsters can save you. Because 2 weeks later, a package arrived at my new apartment. No return address, just my name. Inside was the locket I'd buried, and a note in Robin's handwriting. You only killed one of us.
If this story touched your heart or made you feel every twist of pain and justice, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Your support means everything and keeps these emotions alive on screen. And before you go, leave your valuable thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how this